Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today Major Manish Kumar Pandey, who have served in Indian Armed Forces, both in Air Force and Army. And this interview will try to understand his journey of joining the Armed Forces, life in Armed Forces, and various life lessons that he has learned over his service. So thanks a lot, sir, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you, Akash. It's always feels good to give it back to the community. So I hope that by interviewing me, you ask such questions wherein I can contribute towards towards basically people understanding the process in a better manner and making them equipped enough to come and be part of the armed forces.
Definitely, sir. So if you could, start telling us how was your life before joining the Indian Air Force and what was your motivation back then to join the Fauj?
Okay, so back in I would go back in 2004. Um, uh, Things were not right for me at that moment of time. I was preparing for medical exams. So at that time we used to give PMT, all India PMTs. So I could clear my prelims, but somehow I was not able to clear my mains. At the same time, I had commitments at home also. I could see my father was financially strained. We were two brothers, one after the another. And so I decided that let's take something into hand first and then proceed with studies later on. So my journey started as a men in Indian Air Force. So I filled up a technical entry form and based upon my examination and medical, I was able to convert that. Went to a place called Belgaum, where the basic training of Air Force is done. And then thereafter, I was assigned a technical trade in Air Force. Then I went to Bangalore, E&ITI Jalahali, got trained there for 1 year and was posted to a place called Adampur in a wing. So there then I as soon as I reached there, I always had it in my mind that this is not the place where I would end, right? And I could see that uh, people of my age, I was about 21 at that time, people of my age or maybe 1 or 2 years younger to me are in the officer cadre. And I could see the kind of pride they would carry along with them and the kind of responsibilities they were resonating. So I thought that why not me? What is there in them that I cannot do? So I challenged myself, and then that was the time when I decided, okay, I want to be an officer in armed forces and shoulder greater responsibilities. And that actually motivated me to enroll myself in a graduate program. So I completed my graduation while working full time with Air Force. It took me 3 years. Exactly in 3 years, I could complete my degree, and thereafter, I gave my first attempt at CDS. Competed in my first attempt. Got my interview at Bangalore Center. Cleared my interview in the first attempt, and that's how it has been. And then served the army for 10 years.
Understood, sir. So if you could also speak about once you joined the Air Force, how was your transitioning into Army and what are the various opportunities that you have from becoming an airman to an officer? Because I know about ACC entry. You can also write FCAT and you can also write CDS and probably some other entries as well. If you could describe that, until what age that is possible.
Yeah. Okay. So I basically tried for CDS. My reasoning was very simple for that. Since I had completed graduation before joining, while being in the services, so I didn't wanted to repeat the process of graduating again. ACC entry basically takes you in and helps you in completing your degree, wherein the other ranks who have not completed the degree either after the 12th class or even after joining the forces, they can use that opportunity or that route to basically become an officer in the armed forces. So I thought that why not utilize those 3 years in serving the forces and not being in the academy. So that was my reasoning that I didn't opted for ACC. I went for CDS entry. ACC entry has age limit till about 30-35 years. You have got good amount of age. Age is a benefit to you there. So I always had age with me, so that was not an issue with me. So I thought that's why I should go for CDS entry. So I competed with people in the outside market just as a normal candidate would do, and then I went ahead and competed in the SSB. For CDS, I think the age is 24 or 25. 24 is for Air Force and 25 is for Army. I missed it by one birthday. There was a problem with my application form. And once you are in forces, then you have to follow a particular channel to basically apply for these exams. So in that process, I lost one of my attempts. Otherwise, maybe I would have been an Air Force officer. But because of that attempt, that one attempt costed me my services towards Air Force and Navy. I could not apply for that. So Army was the last alternative for me. So I have got link. I was able to convert that in my first attempt and then went ahead with that.
Got it, sir.
Yeah.
So if you could also speak about your SSB experience, you said you went to Bangalore. So how did you prepare back then? And your experience there, and what tips you would like to give to the aspirants who are watching?
Okay. So SSB is a kind of interview where you are not sure till the last moment as to whether you have done good or whether you have not done good. I've interacted with many people who have either cracked the SSB or have not been able to crack the SSB. So how I prepared for it, firstly, I basically got a circle at the Air Force station who were involved in such kind of preparation. So I made myself a part of that, and I took it very seriously, right? So all the group discussions that we'll have, all the story writing sessions that we would have. So there will be concrete agenda defined that we'll be meeting for this thing. We'll meet for that thing, complete that thing, and then after maybe for half an hour or maybe 1 hour, we'll meet, complete those things, take the suitable learnings from that session, and then go back and work upon that. So that was one thing which I did. Also, I got support from my younger brother. He is also part of Indian Army, and he is 6 months senior to me in the forces. So I took help from him also as to how he prepared and utilized his resources. So what I realized after preparing for SSB was that SSB is testing you on 3 parameters. Those 3 parameters are what you think, what you say, and what you do. So all these 3 parameters should form a sync. Now these, so what you say is how the test is basically through your interview. What you write is your psychological test, wherein you are put under time pressure, and then your actual personality starts coming out. And what you do comes out in your GTO tasks, right? These 3 officers who are testing you on the SSB circuit for those 5 days, they do not mingle among themselves before the last day. So they test you independently on the 14 leadership qualities, officer-like qualities, which are the basic tenets based upon which a decision is taken whether to take this person in or not. So whatever you do, so my philosophy was that I should not fake myself in any manner, and just enjoy the process. So suppose if I am going for an interview, I would think only about the interview at that moment and not what I have done previously or what is there after this event. So I would just focus my mind on that one particular task and give all my energy and all my thought process and all my authenticity to that task. I would not try to fake it as to I'm some different person, but here I'm trying to portray something else, because then that will contradict with me only in either a written part or in oral part. So if you remain just positive in your attitude and you have developed that ability to see the things in a positive manner, I think then it will SSB would just be a fun thing for you, and you would not have to prepare so much for the whole interview experience. But if you try to outsmart the system will outsmart you, because see, the decision between whether to take you in or take you out is not made on the first day. First day is basically a very broad segregation which is done. The last day of the interview, wherein you are called in that conference, at that time, before you enter the room, actually, all your three interviewers, your GTO and your psychologist, all of them speak about you as to what they found. Out of three, at least two should two should be in sync to make a decision. And the aim of this SB is to basically make all those three people sync into one frame. But suppose there are two people who say that, okay, we'll hire Akash, and one says that I don't agree with that. And then the two people can discuss with him as to what is the aspect on which Akash is lacking. And once you enter the room, you would again be given a chance at that moment by asking you a question which will circle around that particular ability. And if Akash is able to answer that question, wherein he can convince the interviewers that yes, Akash has that quality, then the board president has that authority to say and override that one person that, okay, now I think he'll be able to do it, and then basically combine a decision and give a favorable decision to Akash. But if he could not give a good decision at that time, a good answer at that time also, then probably the decision would go not in favor of Akash, because it's very important that which kind of leaders we are hiring in forces. So SSB is a very good system which has been there for a long time, and I think it will remain for a long time to come. So while you are preparing, try to develop a positive perspective. See even if you see a negative thing happening outside, just change the framework and see how can some positivity be attached to this. If you see a negative word, don't let negative thoughts come into your mind. See how that negative word can be used to frame a good positive sentence. Once you start doing that, and this process should take place at least about 3 to 4 months before your SSP, so that your mind is in sync and you think positive about things, right? Then it becomes very easy for you to express yourself, and you are not afraid that your negative aspect of the personality would come out. So that's how I prepared for it, and that actually helped me, both me and my brother both. So that's how it has been.
So about psychology, you spoke about, the element of thinking positively, and also, practicing along those words and, the pictures that you see. If you could also describe, how was your interview experience? Because you were in service, so the kind of questions would be a little different compared to somebody who's coming from, complete civil background. So how did you tackle those questions?
So I specifically remember that I was undergoing my GTO task at that moment. So I've got a nice shirt stitched and a pant stitched, and there was a tie also that I would wear in interview. But as luck would have it, it was so impromptu that I had to go directly from the GTO task for the interview. So I didn't have time to change. So I went into my, we were in a games uniform. Right? So I went with my games uniform for my interview. So that was something which I was not ready for. But then I convinced myself that this is the task which is in front of me. And as I told you, then my whole attention was to complete this interview in the best possible manner. Once I entered inside, I was not treated as someone who came from the forces. The same kind of questions which would apply to any person were asked to me also. And those all questions stemmed from my PIQ, which I filled on the first day, right? So it's very important that you take good amount of time to understand what details you are filling in that PIQ, because based upon that only, your interviewer will ask you questions. That PIQ, on the first day, you basically go through a lot of tests in which there is a reasoning test also, right? So in this that reasoning test also, you should try to solve as many questions as possible. And I know that it is difficult to solve all the questions within the time that has been allotted to you, but it is important that you solve maximum questions, because this whatever score you get, that score is mentioned on your PIQ on the very first day. And once the interviewing officer sees that your PIQ, he basically witnesses the first impression of you on that PIQ with the help of that score. And then he basically frames the questions based upon your. So I was very silent during my interview in the initial stages. So my interviewer tried to break the ice as to where do you come from, tell me about your place, simple questions. So I just told that I come from Allahabad, right? And then he told me, okay, can you elaborate more about it? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And that's how things went on. So your interviewer is basically assessing you whether what you are saying is correct or not. So he will cross question you. One of the way in which he tried to cross question me was, so I had mentioned that maybe in my PIQ that I love to run. So he asked me the same question in my interview also. Okay, what are the things that you love to do? So I got reminded of myself that I have mentioned that I love to do this thing, running. So I told him that, okay, I love to run. So he confirmed it at once. Then he asked me three or four different questions on different agendas altogether. And suddenly he asked me, okay, Manish, tell me which was the longest distance you ever ran. So I thought, why is he asking me this question? At that time, I could not realize that he was just checking that data which I have entered in the PIQ, whether I have written it correct or not. So I told him about 10 kilometers. So he just said, okay, and then moved ahead with the question. I could not realize it at that moment of time that he was cross-checking it. When I was at the end of the day, when I was in my barrack, I was going through the experience again. And then I realized, okay, that question was related with that question. He was actually checking what I was saying was correct or not. My interview lasted for about 20-25 minutes only. Now, many people say that the length of your interview indicates whether you will be selected or not. That's partially correct also and partially incorrect also. How I would explain. See, the interviewer is trying to assess whether you are telling correct thing or not, whether you have written, whatever you have written is authentic information or not. Yes. The earliest he is convinced about it, the earliest he would try to close the interview, because he wants to assess other candidates also. If you are giving contradictory answers, sometimes you give contradictory answers, sometimes you give answers which matches with the information. In that case, the interview goes on. Sometimes people interview you for not only for that day, but also next day also, because they just want to, people on the other side of the table, they want to make sure that they are taking in the right candidate, and they are giving good amount of opportunity to the person who is sitting on the other side to explain his or her reactions, right? So that's how it is. And sometimes in the first 5 minutes only, you will give some kind of answers which will not match with your information, and your interview is over at that time, right? So taking interview duration as an indication of success in the SSB is not correct. Yeah. What you should try is to give authentic answers. Think through your PIQ, whatever information you are writing down there. And military people are very, very diligent, right? So whenever you see any military person, you will see all the things are in order, all the things. Even if you happen to visit some of your peers who are from military background, you will see that they maintain certain kind of order in their living also. Their shoes will be kept at one place, their books will be kept at one place. Similarly, while you are filling your PIQ form, ensure that there is an order. You should not write things in a haphazard manner. Yep. You should write it in a straight line, equally spaced. Your writing should be legible. So do all those small things. These all small things counts towards making an impression, right? So make special effort to understand those things, those small things, and make an impression by those. Right, that's how you make a difference between a person who gets in and the person who doesn't get that chance, right? Because I know that everyone who goes to SSB wants to serve the nation, right? And nation is equally proud of all of you who basically come here to serve us. But at the same time, we have to understand that the person who has been selected as an officer has a good amount of responsibility, not only for his life, he is responsible for the life of the persons who are following him. So that it is very important that a good decision at that point is taken. And that's why they hesitate to take people inside. And they are very free flowing in the manner in which they basically say bye-bye to people, because they know that if this person is correct, this person will come back again. But if they take in a wrong person, then it becomes a liability for them. Then they cannot remove, right? So they want to be absolutely sure before they take their decision. And my mantra for all the people who want to get in is to bring in the coherence required between what you say, what you write, and what you do. Once you do that, SSB is just another 5 days of good fun with good friends. And that's how I would see the process.
Got it, sir. So within the process, you spoke about, the GTO through which you went to interview. So if you could describe how did you actually approach the GTO task, because it has a battery of tests which test you for your individual brilliance and also your teamwork capabilities. So how did you approach back then?
So in GTO also there are two kind of tests wherein you are tested on your individual abilities to solve the problem, and also your ability to lead a group or maybe be part of the group. So once you go to the SSB in your GTO task and you are part of a group, each and every one of us is desperate for that chance there to shine out, to show that I am the one who you should be looking at. Yeah. So what I did was that I just disregarded the fact that the GTO is also here. I thought that these are my group of friends and now they have been given a problem. How can I contribute towards solving that problem? I might not be leading from the front, but maybe if I get a chance in between, I would lead from the front also. But my intention would not be to snatch the stage. Okay. So as soon as the task was given to us, so everyone got into the hurdle. Okay, let's do this. Let's do that. I started thinking logically about how to solve this task. And while they were discussing, I could come up with a solution with that. And then I narrated my solution. Some of them understood that solution. Some of them could not understand that solution. So those people who could not understand that solution, I told them, okay, let me give you a demonstration as to how we will be able to do it. Then I basically took this stage and then helped them to complete the task. But there are different tasks, right? This is just one of the tasks. There are about 6 to 7 tasks which we have to complete. So I would not say that I led in all 6 to 7 tasks, but I would say that, yeah, my contribution was consistent, that I would give my ideas. And at that moment, you would say that maybe people are not listening to you, or they are not trying to implement whatever you are trying to say. Yes. But believe me, the person who is responsible for noticing all your action is listening and is monitoring your each and every action, right? But you should not pay attention to him or her, whosoever is testing you. Your sole motive should be whatever the problem has been given to you, with the resources which are there in your hand, try to solve that problem, try to assist the group in solving the problem in an efficient manner, and that should do. There is, other than this, there is nothing in GTO. The GTO task is assessing you to basically how you mingle with the group, how you handle the group. You should not raise your voice or you should not push anyone. Your presence should be so established in a manner in which, okay, people understand, okay, this man is talking sense. And if we do the manner in which he is telling us, then probably we'll be able to solve this puzzle. Also, you might encounter that there is a solution which is equally viable. So you should not say that, okay, my solution is better than his solution. Discuss, debate, and try to come up with a solution. Sometimes it might be your decision, Sometimes it might be the decision of the other person. So be respectful of the fact that other person can also come up with an equally good logical solution.
Yes.
So keep your minds open, give a good idea, because your idea will be noted by the person who is assessing you, that this person also gave a good idea. But a better person is who can say that, okay, my idea was good, but his idea is even better. Right? So if you try to appraise your peer while you know that you are there for your selection, that is a good quality of an officer, wherein you are putting the ideas, the respect for the ideas ahead of your personal what you say, contributions.
Yeah.
Right?
Got it.
So don't think that it is only about you. Think that it is about the group. The group has to succeed, and in solving that puzzle, whether me or the other person comes up with the idea, let's debate over that idea, and whichever idea is better, that idea will succeed, and in the process both of you will succeed, or might the whole group might succeed, right? So that's how you should think about it.
Got it, sir. So you spoke about few qualities in this discussion. Also, when we go to SSB, we hear about something called as officer-like qualities. Also read about it. So now that you've seen both sides of it, so how do you look at officer-like qualities, and how can one, develop those before he goes to SSB so that he eventually gets recommended?
So these also, if you read, I don't recall all those 40 leadership qualities, but I have a general sense of it. Whether it so these officer-like qualities are something which you cannot develop in about 1 or 2 months. These are something which are very inherent in a personality. So many people say that if you are not able to speak in English confidently, then you will not be selected. It is not so. Because why I would say that? Because this is a quality which can be in which a person can be trained, right? If you are not able to converse in English properly, you will go to academy and you will develop. You will you'll be put under so much of coaching that ultimately you will be able to do that, right? Yes. So this is something for which a person can be coached. Similarly, if someone would say that I am not fit, they will not take me. It is not true, because that amount of physical training which you will undergo at academy will help you to overcome that barrier also. So these are things which are for which you can be trained, for which you can be groomed, right? The things which cannot be improved is your inherent quality. If you are not a good person inside, that fact will not be, the army will not be able to change that, right? And hence therein comes those 14 leadership qualities on which the test is based. They basically see whether the person who is sitting in front of you is morally correct or not, or whether he will take a decision which is more favoring him or more favoring the group, right? So these are the qualities which you develop from your childhood, right? So you cannot change the kind of personality that you carry. You cannot change that. It's not that easy.
Yes.
And hence those 14 leadership principles basically test those qualities which cannot be changed. With the way you have been groomed, the way you have been brought up, the life experience which you had has basically made a certain kind of person, and that person cannot be changed in about 5 to 6 months. So if someone says that I want to go in SSB and I want to basically improve these 14 leadership qualities or 14 officer-like qualities into my personality, then I would say that the aim is incorrect at that time. The focus should be, if you actually want to prepare for SSB, the only thing which you can do is develop a positive perspective. Don't think about yourself, think about the group, think about the society, think about positive aspects which is related to the things and not the negative aspects. In today's world, we see a lot of negative being thrown at us. Everything which is negative, the media is behind that. So you'll see on social media also, on news also, you'll get only negative items. So how will you develop a positive framework? Read good books. Probably that would help, or develop a close set of friends who would help to do that. So there are many ways and resources through which you can develop that perspective. But if you want to, if you ask me that, okay, I need to develop those 14 OLQ, what should I do? I don't have an answer for that. I think those are ingrained in you. And the very fact that you want to join army shows that some of those leadership principles, those officer-like qualities are in you, and that's why you are thinking towards that, right? So that's how it is.
Got it, sir. So after that, you went to Officer Training Academy. So how was your experience there, and any memories that you have from that which you still cherish? What would that be?
So yeah, I remember standing outside the cherished gate of Officers Training Academy, Chennai. It was a long dream which finally I could realize, and I thought that I will now I'll come here and I will be treated like an officer. But all my thinkings went for a 6 as soon as I stepped my leg inside the Officers Training Academy. It's a busy place. It doesn't. It will not help you to make yourself comfortable. From the very go on, you will be pushed mentally, physically, and this they do basically to train you. So a person who would come there with a good body and a person who is a bit fat when he has arrived there, after 1 month of training, you will find that each and everyone is on the equal platform, right? So it is a scientifically designed process, but you don't realize it unless you go through it. Yeah. In our whole life, we never thought that we will be able to run 40 kilometers at a stretch with about 20 to 30 kgs of weight on our shoulders. But we could do that at the end of the training. And 40 kilometer was just one event, right? So before that, we had our 35 km runs, 30 km runs, 25, 20. So they gradually took you from 1 kilometer, where a person who was not even able to run 500 meters was able to complete a 40 kilometer run at the end of that one. So that's spectacular. That shows the kind of capability that each one of us have inside us. It's just that the right settings are provided to you, and you meet so motivated people in the academy, right? The group that you will become part of, and you will share memories with, will be there for the rest of your life, right? So you will always cherish those memories. You suffer the grind there. I would not say that it's an easy path. You will suffer the grind. You will think of, you will cross each day on the calendar once it goes by. But as the days approaches before the passing out day, you always remember, you always go to those memories and think about all the things that you did in the academy, right? So those are very cherished memories. One specific incident, if you ask me, that I remember was, so in academy, you are not allowed to eat stuff which will make you unhealthy, right? So no biscuits, no soft drinks, no butter, no ice creams. Basically anything which you love and you have that thing available, you are not allowed to have that in academy. So once you go there, you have to complete your, you have to pass your physical training test, and then possibly your senior would allow you to have a bite of it. So same thing happened with us. So we were a group of 4 cadets, and we completed our physical fitness test on the first go. So then our overstudies took us for a treat, and what they gave us for the treat was an ice cream brick, the whole brick. And they asked us that you have about 3 minutes and you have to finish it, right? So we all 4 of us stood around, and we just opened the brick from one side. I took a bite, then I passed it on, and that's how the circle was completed. We were able to complete that. I could not have imagined to have done that anywhere in the outside world. We thoroughly enjoyed our ice cream also, and we thoroughly enjoyed our experience also. It's a place, as they say, that we groom boys to become men, right? So that actually happens over there. You understand the gravity of the things. You understand as to what responsibilities are being given to you, and the day you pass out, you understand the and once those stars are put on your shoulders, you realize as to this was the transformation I was looking for, right? And for any parent to see their child getting those stars on their shoulder, it's a proud moment, right? So something which you would never ever forget, right? So that's how it was at academy. It's a fun place. It's a fun place to be, but this dialogue would come out only after you have crossed that stage. While you are in that stage, you will feel like each day is hell.
Yeah. Got it. So if you could also speak about, which arm did you opt for, and what was your motivation back then to join those?
So I joined artillery. My reason was, so I basically had a conversation with my directing staff who happened to be from artillery. So he motivated me to join his arm. And also I had my discussion with my brother. He also passed out about 6 months before me. So he is also in artillery. So I took his opinion also as how has your experience been for the past 6 months. And that's how I basically decided that, okay, since I got a good feedback about this arm, so why not go in for this thing? So that's how I decided. And I always wanted to become part of a fighting arm. So there are two types of segregation in army. There are fighting arms, and then there are supporting arms.
Yeah.
The supporting arms are equally important because without them, the fighting arms cannot do anything, right? So if we go into a war and we need supplies of ammunition, we need supplies of weapons, we need supplies of ration, oil, water, everything, right? Without that, you cannot sustain. And once you cannot sustain yourself, then the battle is lost, right? So those arms are equal respect to those arms also. But then I always wanted to be at the forefront, and that's why I decided that, okay, I'll go in for artillery. I wanted to be part of infantry, but infantry, the number of seats were less, and the number of people were more. So I thought that if I would apply for infantry, if I don't get it, then it's upon them to give me an arm. So it's better that I choose an arm and make sure of myself that I would be able to get that. So that's why I applied for artillery and got that.
Got it, sir. So if you could also speak about, as a young officer in the artillery, how does your, routine look like in terms of role and responsibilities, and how did it, eventually evolve when you became senior?
Okay. So once you come in the army, you are treated as a baby, right? So everyone, because you have won the rank, but you still have not got that respect. Unless your men respect you, you will never get that authority. Even if that authority is being given to you by the President of India, that you are an officer in the Indian Army and you can go ahead the job which have been given to you, but you have to establish yourself in the unit. How do you establish yourself in the unit? Once you go into once you become an officer, you are basically given various kind of courses to make you expert in the role which you have taken for. So I took a role in artillery. So I was sent to Nasik's artillery school in Devlali to undergo that training for 6 months. So every officer should make an endeavor to prove his worth and to understand the procedures which are laid down there and come back in the unit. And then in unit, there is a annual practice camp which happens, wherein your technical skills would be at display. And everyone would expect to see a person who has just come out of the academy, have just undergone a course, to perform well. If you are worth your salt and if you have done your training diligently, then that is the moment when you earn the respect of your men. And once you earn the respect of the men, then men will treat you like a god, right? Because they understand that this person has undertaken the training, so he knows all the fundamentals. He knows how to apply those fundamentals, and they are very sure that if we are led by this man, then our lives are in a much better hand, right? And once they realize that, they would accept you. So it is very important for you to, so your learning doesn't stop at the academy. Your learning basically continues throughout. So you will be part of many courses as you become senior in the army. You will undergo many courses, and in each course, your motivation should be to learn new things, apply those new things, and then come back to the unit and show everyone through various exercises that you have actually ingrained those qualities. Right? So that's how it is. So initially, once you come to the unit, you will be made to live with the men for initial 14 days or 1 month, and do whatever task they do. It's very important, because as an officer, if on the very first day I'll give you your chair, your office, and your table, you will probably not have that connect with what your men are doing and how your men is basically coming out of that barrack and attending all the parades, right? So once you get an opportunity to stay with them, to use the washroom which they are using, to eat the food which they are eating, you will understand that, okay, where are the gaps which you would like to address once you get onto that seat. So that experience actually helps to develop a bond between you and your men. And that experience also helps you to cull out the areas where you want to focus once you occupy that chair finally, right? So that's how the induction takes place. You basically remain with your men for about 1 month, and then you basically shift into officer quarters. Then you are dined into the officers' mess. You go for your mandatory courses, complete your mandatory course and come back, and then show it to everyone and earn that respect, and then grow professionally and personally in the armed forces.
Got it, sir. So I have one more question. Since you have served around a decade in Army and also served in Air Force, so if I can ask you any 3 life lessons that you have learned from your time in the service, what would they be? Any 3?
Okay, so I would say that one thing I have learned is that nothing is impossible in this world. So if you have the right frame of mind, then probably there is no limit which can define you. There will always be people around you who will motivate you. There will always be people around you who will demotivate you. And as a normal human being, we try to choose a path which is less painful, right?
Yes.
But believe me, if you choose that path, your progress would stop that very day. If you choose to hustle, if you choose to be unrestful while others are resting, then probably you would make those career shifts and those progressions which probably 90% of the people would not be able to do. So hard work was something which I realized that even if you don't have the intellect, but if you have the passion and the correct good amount of hard work to put behind that passion, then probably everything is possible. Second thing which I realized, that anything which has a reason can be understood by any human being. Now I heard many people say in my lifetime that yaar meko to ye samajh mein nahi aa raha, I don't know how this thing works. It is not true. He is not able to understand that because he has not applied himself. He has not applied his full mental capacity to understand that thing, and that's why he is not able to have a grip on that. So my motivation was always that if something is there and if it can be explained, then as a human being, I should be able to understand that and do that. So that has actually helped me to solve many things in my life, and because of that, I have been appreciated a lot by my seniors. Then the third thing which I basically not learned, but I realized, is the power of honesty, right? So if you are an honest person, sometimes there will be situations where people would not like you because of your honesty. But believe you me, those situations are only 5%, right? You don't have to mend yourself for that 5%. You have to be what you are for those 95%, because those 95% of people would remember you for your honesty, which you showed. So if I have done something wrong, I would be the first person to go and acknowledge it and accept it. I have done this and I'm ready to face the consequences for this. I would never see another person getting bullshitted or getting punished because of something which I have. even as an officer, if I have done something, then it is my responsibility to go to my senior and to say, sir or madam, this was the thing which was given to me, and I have goofed it up. I would try to improve upon it, and not the other way around, that I'll go into a corner and I'll let anyone else face the brunt. So these are the three things which I have basically learned from the Army and the Air Force. These two organizations have basically given me a good platform. Now that I have come out of the armed forces, these basic themes, these basic qualities which I have developed over the past 16 years have actually helped me to move ahead in my career and be where I am at present.
Got it, sir. So if you could, also speak about, since you are a short service commission officer in the Army, what are the various opportunities that you have once you come out? In terms of, you can be an entrepreneur, or you can join, you can do certain courses and join an organization. What are the various opportunities that you have once you come out?
Okay. So as I said, that there is no dearth of opportunities if you are willing to put in the hard work, and if you have the passion behind it, then nothing is impossible. So I know many people from armed forces who have gone abroad and are doing very well. Some have started their own companies, some are working with the established companies. It is upon you as to how you want to take it ahead. The Army also provides you good amount of opportunities in terms of retirement courses which they offer, wherein you can take benefit from that and develop your abilities to work in the outside environment. I took a different path. I basically went for a competitive exam called the GMAT exam, and applied for various business schools all around the world. I was given admission to all the prestigious institutes, and I finally decided to go to IIM Ahmedabad and complete my 1 year of Masters in Business Administration from there. And that has actually helped me to basically gain a good employment after I have completed my course. So so the forces would give you good amount of opportunities also, but there are also opportunities available in the open market which you can utilize, and the competition is always open, right? You can always, if you think that you have the ability and the mental capacity to burn yourself out and go out and redesign and reinvent yourself, then also the market is willing to basically welcome you outside, right? So and the Army, Air Force, this experience would always help you, because you have developed those innate qualities which is always respected in the outside world. But in the outside world, only the respect part would not help. You should have the correct amount of pedigree, correct amount of skills to show the output out in the outside world. So yeah, so for that you need to get some kind of training, and that is facilitated by the forces.
Got it, sir. So my final question to you would be, because a lot of aspirants will be watching it. So what will be your message to all of them who wants to join the forces?
My message would be simple: develop a positive attitude, believe in yourself, and with the right amount of effort, I am very sure that you will be able to make it through. And I am available by the same name on LinkedIn. Do feel free to be part of, be associated with me. If I could help you in any manner, that would be great.
Got it, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, for your time on this session and for sharing your stories and experiences in the armed forces, in the service selection board with all of us. I hope a lot of people who are watching us will get a perspective and will be helped also. So thanks a lot, sir, for your time. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you so much. Thank you also for giving me this opportunity to share all these experiences with you guys, and all the best to each and every one of you. Thank you, Akash.
Thank you.
Yeah.